Hello, welcome to July 24th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video and exercise. This is something that I do every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now spot on 4:45 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to recite the Good Life Creed, the 7 objectives and 34 principles that I use to guide my life. I also finish by thinking about the coming day to try to forecast whatever challenges and opportunities I might be able to foresee, to prepare myself for those, and very importantly, to ready myself for the unexpected, so that when I'm caught unawares by a challenge or an opportunity, I'm prepared to manage it or capitalize and improve upon it. But first, let's read a poem. I'm going to do things a little bit different today. I'll read yesterday's poem through once, and then usually I'm reading from the collected works of John Keats in chronological order in which he wrote them in his life. I'm skipping the very long poems. Fortunately, he wrote many small poems because it's hard to read a long, small book-length poem in one of these videos. But this morning I started reading one I thought it was called Extracts from an Opera, and then I realized that what I thought was a small poem here is actually just the first part of a giant poem. Since I already did the study, I'll go ahead and read that first part, and then move on to the next poem after that. But yesterday's poem, let's go ahead and read that. I studied this one yesterday. You can look at yesterday's video if you want to get the details. Here we go. And as usual with Keats, the title is the first line of the poem. O thou whose face hast felt the winter's wind. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. This probably is one of my all-time favorite poems of all time. It's from a letter to, this is a note in the poem, letter to J.H. Reynolds, 19th of February, 1818. I had no idea, but of the morning and the thrush said I was right, seeming to say. Geez, now I see it. Here's the poem. O thou whose face hath felt the winter's wind, whose eye has seen the snow clouds hung in mist, and the black elm tops 'mong the freezing stars. To thee the spring will be a harvest time. O thou whose only books has been the light of supreme darkness which thou feddest on, night after night when Phoebus was away. To thee the spring shall be a triple morn. O fret not after knowledge, I have none, and yet my song comes native with the warmth. O fret not after knowledge, I have none, and yet the evening listens. He who saddens at thought of idleness cannot be idle, and he is awake who thinks himself asleep. That just probably is the best poem I've ever read. I'm gonna work on this one. I might have to set up a new routine to read this every morning by myself, if only just to make sure that I can instill it in my brain, if not with a vain hope of memorizing it. Now, to the next one. This is, again, from Extracts from an Opera, and it's complicated, but I won't dwell too much on the complexity. There's a note, like Keats sometimes does, puts a little note at the beginning. This note is a mystery. It says, to A, Aubrey, and it's like he just did initials and someone filled in the name. To A, G, S, which is to Aubrey George Spencer. Spencer, I believe, being Edwin Spencer, who died in 1599, a very famous poet that Keats admired. On reading his admirable verses in this, in parentheses, Miss Reynolds, so in Miss Reynolds' album, on either side of the following, attempt to pay small tribute therein. So I think that Keats encountered some verses of Reynolds in an album by Mrs. Reynolds by Spence, verses of Spencer's in an album by Reynolds. Wouldn't be the first time that this has happened in his life. He seems to be in people's parlors, finding little bits of notes that famous people or noteworthy authors have written, and then he's moved by them and writes about it. And here's what he writes. It's the first part of a long poem. Basically, he's wondering, where did Spencer find the inspiration to write what he did? Where didst thou find, young bard, thy sounding lyre? Where the bland accent and the tender tone? A sitting snugly by thy parlor fire? Or didst thou with Apollo pick a bone? The muse will have a crow to pick with me, for thus assaying in thy brightening path. Who that with his own brace of eyes can see, unthunderstruck beholds thy gentle wrath? Who from a pot of stouter blew the froth into the bosom of the wandering wind, light as the powder on the back of a moth, but drank thy muses with a grateful mind, yea, unto bedlams drink methygal and anisils and caraway and gin. Now that's the first part of the poem. Now I forgot to go over the vocabulary. Crow to pick with me is the same as bone to pick with me, which Keats uses in the next line. Bedlam refers to the word bone. It's not an uncommon word in English. Bedlam means madness, craziness, which comes from the one of the earliest, I guess, what would you call it? Mental institutions in the world, which I can't remember. It was bed something or other in England, which was poorly managed from a crazy place. So people came to refer to crazy situations as like that, and the word bedlam was born. Metheglin, anises, and caraway refer to distillations of drinks, alcoholic drinks made with various spices and seasonings, and of course gin is gin. So he's wondering where the muse gets his darn inspiration. Did you just find it by the parlor, sitting there by the flame, when Keats himself has to work so hard at it? Note to self: memorize or attempt to read a lot that poem, that other one. The Good Life. No, yesterday and last night. Slept good last night. Los Angeles is in a raging heat wave right now. The whole country is, but yet here in Huntington Beach, it's just paradise perfect. The weather is just sweet as can be. I feel guilty in a sense. So I slept well last night with the window open. Didn't even need it open. Needed the sheets on, and the cool breeze, the ocean breeze, is really nice. But not to lay it on too thick. And good day yesterday. Just got a lot done. Found myself a little bit wanting for things to fill the day because all my chores were done, etc. I need to work on that before I retire. I need to be able to have a good plan for the day, good routine, gardening, writing, reading, etc., etc. I tend to read best when I'm walking. I should do that more walking, reading. That'll be easy in Japan, except when it rains. The Good Life. 7 objectives. To be always ready to die. To make good and effective use of time. To develop and maintain good and sound life principles. To cultivate good emotional reactions. To perform good actions. To recognize true limits and true opportunity. And to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Oh yeah. I remember I did come up with a new idea to add to the Good Life. I need to give it a name, and I need to find a home for it in the creed. The basic idea is this. It's better to tackle and attempt to defeat or defeat, subdue, or assuage our demons on our home territory before attempting to nail them, to take them on a foreign field. Although I wonder, now that I think about it, namely I'm speaking to myself, I did not, my demons began to arise when I was about 10 years old. And they haunted me all my adult life until I got back here after living several times in Japan, and finally took them on. And what did I do? Did I defeat them? I think I more like wrangled them into a corral. They're still there, but they're not loose and wandering around. I've got them managed. Could I have done that had I not left the United States? Could I have done that without leaving if I hadn't experienced Japan? That's an interesting question. What if I had said to myself first, okay, you're not going to take on the demons. You're not going to go to Japan and have that adventure until you take on your demons first. What a very different life path that would have yielded. And I might have devolved down. I don't know. I'm having my second thoughts about this idea. I might have. It wasn't so much the place; it was the will to continue to take them on. I would have had that same will here, although I would have been more afraid. I think I need to give this more thought, and I will. That's what I do. 34 principles: war, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, the social principle, the principle of family, public speaking, distraction, agency and the great indifference. No, is that right? No. Temperance, right? Temperance. Almost messed it up. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born. The feast of woeful. Distraction. Agency and the great indifference. The best seat in the house. The restless man. The path of wildness. The great life adventure. The risk of avoiding risk. Sin and damnation. Complete oblivion. The season of philosophy. Script writing. The bullseye aim. The uphill climb. Arena and utility. Nothing is enough. And this principle of fun. I think I got them all. Now for today. It's a day off. It's Monday. But I took the day off. Why? I took the day off because my daughter's coming back from Japan. She should be flying over the Pacific right about now. Almost home, because a couple more hours. Her flight arrives at 9 o'clock, so she's got 1, 2, 3, 4 more hours. So she's midway over the Pacific somewhere, maybe over the Aleutian Islands, I don't know. I know she's spending some money on the airplane because I saw the charge go through. How does that work? I think she bought the Wi-Fi. And then, so Yumiko and I will go pick her up, and then we'll have to come back, hear about her trip. I forgot to do my journal update this weekend, so I'll do that today later. Or maybe I'll do that this morning before we leave. And then I'm going to try to clean my motorcycle. I meant to do that. I use the afternoon to detail my bike, get it ready to sell maybe. Am I ready to die? Are my affairs in order? Yes, they are. Are my relationships sound? Very much so. Is my life's work complete? The book's done. I'm ready to die. But I don't want to. I'll stick around as long as I possibly can. Be a good man to the end of my days. With that, my life is done, if not finished. Take care. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye. I like that order better. My life is done, but not finished. Then, be safe, but not too safe. That'll do better.